Hello, Huntington Beach. I'm former Mayor John Erskine, and it's my pleasure to introduce an historical video from almost 34 years ago, June 1990 to be exact, in a new episode of the HBTV3 series, FlasHBack. This archival footage was captioned a walking tour of the Huntington Beach Pier, Bluff Top Park, and Bolsa Chica, and features a much younger version of yours truly and former City Public Information Officer Bill Reed, taking a tour of the old pier, the beachfront that was to become this pier plaza, the new pedestrian bike path, the Bolsa Chica wetland area, and the emerging new Surf City developments. Probably the most interesting section of this travel back in time is the bird's eye view of the old 1914 era pier after we had to close it in early 1988, and as it looked right before demolition in the summer of 1990. The original pier, first built in 1904, was completed in 1914 and then lengthened by 500 feet in 1930, and a cafe was added at the end. The extension and the end cafe were destroyed by a hurricane and then rebuilt in 1940. The rebuilt section was partially destroyed again in 1983, rebuilt in 1985, and finally, after 2 days of storms and huge surf overtopping and again destroying much of the entire pier on January 17th and 18th in 1988, led to the inevitable conclusion that we needed to close and hopefully replace the 75-year-old structure. As memories have faded and council members and city staff from that era have unfortunately passed away, it's not always appreciated that there was actually a contentious debate over how to design, possibly shorten, and whether to rebuild the pier at all. Fortunately for most of us on the City Council from 1988 to 1992, and the majority opinion of our energetic, proud Surf City residents, there was no debate. As I commented to the press in July 1988, Huntington Beach without the pier is like Paris without the Eiffel Tower. Our re-engineered and built-to-last new pier, and subsequently this pier plaza, opened in 1992 and 94, respectively. The archival footage TV3 viewers will see in this flashback predates restoration of the Bolsa Chica wetlands, removal of coastal oil operations, gas plants, and oil wells, and much of our new coastal development along PCH. The waterfront resort, Pacific City, and our fantastic Bluff Top Park, and our dog park all sprang up in the decades after this video was filmed. I hope you find it interesting, educational, and agree with me that Surf City Huntington Beach is a special coastal community that has become one of the best places to live, work, and play on the entire Orange County coast. Thanks for watching this episode of FlasHBack.
Huntington Beach has been involved in modernizing its Pacific Ocean front for a decade now. And today we're going to take a look at what has happened and what's going to happen and what is good or bad about the new developments. We're going to try to place this in a framework composed of the many important other events of the past few years. I'm City Public Information Officer Bill Reed. And with me today is Councilman John Erskine, a member of the City Council now for nearly 4 years, serving one of those years as mayor. He's had a major role in leading the city forward to meet the 21st century. Let us note that it has not been an easy time. Compromise, a step or two forward here, a step or two backwards there, has characterized the movements toward a renewed downtown. But the path toward completion of the project seems clearer now, and John Erskine is ready to add, I suppose, critic to his role of planner, builder, cajoler, and lawmaker. We're going to take a look today, John, from several vantage points, including right here at the stub of the famed Huntington Beach Pier. John, I see you've been admiring the scenery here in Huntington Beach.
Yeah, some hot volleyball action here today, Bill.
Yes, there is.
What a day at the beach.
It's just gorgeous here at the beach today.
How are you?
John, nice to see you today. Over the past few years, I know you have been deeply involved in the development and redevelopment that we can see from this area. Before we get to that, let's talk for just a minute about the pier we're standing on and what the City Council has been doing to ensure that there'll be a new pier here someday.
Well, as you know, Bill, in 1988, when I served as mayor, one of our less exciting things and rewarding things we had to do was close the pier in early '88 after the devastating storm of that year.
Time.
Yes, not a real easy thing to do, but as you can see by the condition of the pier, and I think the public has acknowledged, the grand old lady has definitely seen her better days. And it's taken the last 2 years, my term as mayor, Wes Bannister's term as mayor, and now Tom May's, and the entire City Council's continued efforts to try and come up with the right program to rebuild a pier in this spot. But it's finally underway. We expect to be doing demolition work on this pier sometime after Labor Day, around September, and the new pier will be up in early 1992.
There will be a pier.
Absolutely.
John, while we're standing here within our eyesight, we can see workmen working on top of some condominiums across the street. We can see down here to the right a new magnificent hotel that's come up.
The Waterfront Hilton.
Waterfront Hilton. Right. We can see directly across from us a theater, commercial area. Site
of the new Golden Bear.
We can see a very different Huntington Beach than the last time we were together on the pier.
Well, I think we've made some substantial progress in terms of redevelopment. As you mentioned, the pavilion project over there that Yuri Gotti has been developing with the redevelopment agency for probably the first 2 years that I served on the City Council. That was nothing but a hole in the ground where the Golden Bear had to be demolished back in the mid-'80s. And I think from the comments I've heard from the public, there still seems to be overwhelming support. I've seen recent surveys that some of the candidates running for public office have fielded, and it shows 70-75% support for downtown redevelopment. And I think projects like this pavilion project and both the commercial theater restaurant portion and the residential portion on the north side, the inland side of Coast Highway, are great additions to our downtown. What we have to do now is move forward on the opposite side where we've got Cagney's Bar and Eldon Liquor and some of those other not so proud parts of our downtown. Not only are they, kind of remnants of yesteryear, but seismically the buildings are unsafe and dilapidated. So we're hoping that we're going to have a plan that preserves the village atmosphere, but provides some new attractive redevelopment for Main Street.
Well, in addition to Pierside, Murray Gotti's development there, California Resorts, just in the next block, the Heritage Square will soon be under construction, I understand. And then farther up Main Street, we have the new Art Center. And across from that, then there's a large condominium in
Town Square
development there. But it's not all limited just to Main Street. On some of the peripheral streets, there's a lot of building going on.
There is. Some of it is outside the redevelopment core area, and it's just happening. We're having a great renewal of the town lot and the Old Town areas, which are basically your blocks from 7th Street to Golden West, and then the Old Town goes over from Main Street over towards Beach Boulevard. And I think the quality of this development, the fact that it's preserving the village atmosphere that has always been there, but providing some new sort of upscale residential development in particular, the success of that is evidenced in what the Times and the Register are reporting in the real estate sections about our Huntington Beach home appreciation rate. We've probably all seen the bad news about home prices falling. Yet the 92648 zip code I found out recently has appreciated 35% in the last year alone. some of the highest appreciation outside of Corona del Mar. So I think the fact that people are coming into the downtown Huntington Beach from all over Southern California and saying, gee, this is a place I'd like to live, has got to be an indication that something's going right down here.
Oh yes, very definitely. Someone pointed out to me the other day that within the area that we can easily see from here, there's about $500 million worth of development plan for the next few
I didn't know
years.
that. That's a staggering number.
It's a large number. The Waterfront Hilton and its the future hotels there account for almost $400 million worth of development now and in the future. So there's a lot going on in this portion of downtown Huntington Beach.
It certainly is.
We've mentioned that there's a redevelopment agency, and the redevelopment agency has been involved in this. But the truth of the matter is that the buildings we see going up to a large extent are private investment.
Private investment. The redevelopment agency, as most people probably are unaware, is simply a vehicle to take the appreciation, where there once was a vacant lot or a dilapidated building that was only assessed at a certain level. The redevelopment agency takes the increase in that appreciation, takes the tax on that, and under redevelopment law recaptures it, returns it back to the city, to our redevelopment agency, for use in improving the Bluff Top Park, which we're going to look at in a little bit, in refurbishing Main Street and providing some of the new landscaping and other public amenities. So the redevelopment agency is a vehicle for those private investors to keep tax dollars in the city doing some good things.
And they are doing some good things. Let's wander on down the pier here. I see crossed on the Main Street. The one thing that we've been told lately that there's not a lot of, but there are a lot of people walking up and down Main Street.
Certainly looks like it.
A lot of them have come down to see what's happening.
Well, I think it's an exciting place to be. I think there's a lot of vibrancy to our downtown. I think there's a lot of public recreation, as we can see. I don't know if our mics can pick up the sounds of the volleyballs, but there's about 6 volleyball games going on right now.
Everybody's having a good time down there.
Yeah, I wish we were on spring break or whatever this is.
Yeah, how did they get all this time off?
I think it must be summertime for the college kids.
I'd speak to my boss, but he thinks I'm already on vacation. So. It is nice to stand there and see the fruits of the labors over the last few years. And certainly the City Council and the redevelopment agency have not done this alone. Even the private developers have not done it alone. The public has been very deeply involved in reviewing plans and meeting with the Planning Commission, meeting with the City Council.
That's an excellent point, Bill. The City Council and the Planning Commission has received some credit for finally getting redevelopment underway. But let's face it, we can't do anything without public support. And I think the overwhelming public support, not only in all those hearings, but in electing the candidates that said we're going to get redevelopment underway, I think has been the turning point. Redevelopment has been talked about for 20 years. It's here. We have work left to do, but I think we're in the right direction.
Well, you said work left to do, and certainly the job is not complete. Let's take a look down here for a moment. We see, of course, the restaurant here and a parking lot a little farther down. They're up on the bluff area that is similar to the park that we just came from. Let's go down there and take a look and see what's happening right down in that area where there's some plans for other development.
The so-called pierside restaurants, as they're being called now.
Restaurants. Let's take a walk down there, John.
Great, Bill.
Well, now here we're down on the parking lot area, the bluffs area.
We're actually on the beach jogging and biking path right now.
Here we go. You know, there's a couple of things happening here that we probably take a look at, and one is the restaurants that have been planned, not for the beach, but for the upland areas behind.
In the parking lot. Yeah.
In the parking lot.
Well, first of all, one of the things that some of our citizens have been very active in helping us plan is a wider pier plaza at the base of the pier. And that pier plaza is planned to be an area where the public can congregate. To make that happen, it's planned that this area, the Maxwell's, will be moved about 150 feet, I believe it is, south in this direction, and open up this area around the base of the pier for the plaza with, hopefully some nice landscaping and the like. This area down here where we have the world famous green burrito and some of our arcades and game rooms, that's planned to be refurbished. And the current plan is there was a pierside village, or it's been referred to as a pierside mall, approved by the council back in the 85-86 period.
Well, that's a dead issue.
Dead issue, and the new city council has basically revised that downward, and we're talking about 2 new restaurants in addition to the relocated Maxwell's, and they would go basically up here in the parking lot area with parking underneath.
There should be plenty of access for people to get to the beach.
We think so. Certainly a hotly debated topic, one that has had its critics, but I think we feel the majority of the citizens want those additional restaurants. And again, as we've talked about before in this segment, they produce revenue for maintaining the pier and the Bluff Top Park and a lot of the things here in the recreation area around the pier.
Well, in the neighborhood parks too.
Absolutely.
So everybody is affected by that. Well, 3 restaurants, one of which is already here, doesn't seem like an unusual or unreasonable amount.
Well, if you look at this area historically, Bill, and I think you're going to have some shots of what our city founders and city fathers have done here. The site of the pierside restaurants have seen a saltwater plunge, a dance ballroom, arcades, Ferris wheel, amphitheater. The red car used to come along and deposit tourists here in the parking lot area.
And there was a railroad station up there.
There was a gas station up there. So
saltwater plunge.
Yes, all those things, and I think that this council wants to do, at least the majority of us want to do what our city fathers did, and was provide some recreation area for those who don't go on the beach, who are too old to play volleyball or whatever some of these other games are that are being played here, that would like to just sit and sort of enjoy the passive experience of watching the ocean and watching the younger. And that's what we're talking about doing.
Of course, I obviously spend a lot of time in restaurants, and I enjoy that. I enjoy coming to the beach for that. So, well, it sounds like that there's still a lot to be done. We're down here on the beach, and it's lovely. We've talked about the beach, the pier, downtown area. There's an area that I think that we should go take a look at. It's figured very highly in the news. I know the city council's been very involved, and we're about to see an area where we can claim success at long last, the Bolsa Chica. One of our
proud accomplishments. We haven't completed it yet, but let's go take a look at what's there now.
Great. It really is beautiful out here at the Bolsa Chica, John. It's just a wonderful day and a wonderful place, and the birds are cooperating.
Well, it's like this 365 days a year here in Huntington Beach, isn't it, Bill?
Well, I think it is.
This is really special today.
The amazing part about this is that it came very close to not happening. I saw plans when I first came to Huntington Beach to put a marina and put big hotels into this area, and yet that apparently is not going to happen.
Well, you're correct, Bill. About 4 or 5 years ago, the developer came within a gnat's eyelash of getting Coastal Commission approval for a huge marina complex and upwards of 6,000 homes. And of course, you know very well the coalition that came together in 1988, and that's been turned around.
Well, this coalition, and they have done an amazing thing. Who was involved in this?
Well, really what happened is back in 1988, I was serving as mayor, Paul Cook was city administrator. The two of us came together with County Supervisor Harry Weeder Harriet and I formed a coalition, the Amigos de Bolsa Chica. Shirley Detloff, Adrian Morrison, Dr. Green agreed to participate. The Signal Landmark Company agreed to participate. There was a lot of skepticism about whether we could come up with a plan that would restore just about all of this lowland area. Bill Dotson, the former unofficial mayor of Sunset Beach, described the first meeting as a nervous cat sitting around on a fence eyeing each other. And that was kind of the atmosphere of those early meetings in '88. But people stayed together and kept talking, and the result is an agreement by all the parties, endorsed by the council and the county, to restore virtually the entire lowland area, save the area that we're in right now that's already been restored. And this degraded area back here where we see the oil wells pumping and the derricks and the salt flats, to hire the right experts to restore this to its pristine wetland condition of the 1800s.
The landowner, Signal, was it Signal Landmark?
Yes.
Had a lot to do too with getting involved.
They deserve a lot of credit. I think they saw that the public mood was changing, that there was not public support for marina as there had been in the 70s. And I think there's some benefit to them, but they're to be commended for giving up virtually the majority of their property for public open space and wetlands restoration. Certainly, we'd have to admit that they're going to get some economic benefit.
A lot of the highlands over
yes,
there.
Yes, the only area that will be developed, other than a few pockets of single family in the back of the lowland, will be that bluff over there. I don't know if your cameras can pick it up, but the western mesa would be the area where the housing and some small commercial centers would go. Plan's going to take 5 to 10 years to complete. The restoration is going to take a long time to complete, but the environmental groups, the city council, just about virtually everybody involved feel that this was a once-in-a-lifetime compromise. Doesn't always happen in this age of internecine warfare between developers and the public.
So often the houses are there before you have much of a chance to do anything.
That's right. Yeah.
But part of this, now this is beautiful in this area, but some of the area back in there doesn't look much like a wetlands. There's oil operations and there's dry land.
Well, that's for the visitors, people who come down here to view the wetlands area, and they walk out on this bridge. I hope they'll take a look out at the back of the property. It's not what you normally see from Coast Highway. In fact, I remember people used to ask me, "Geez, John, they're not going to develop any of that beautiful wetlands," and you'd have to point out to them that it's only this area along Coast Highway that's really functioning as a wetlands. The area back here is going to need some real scientific expertise and a lot of work to restore it back to a functioning wetlands.
But this compromise plan does call for restoration. It calls for
complete restoration, and it'll be funded by the developer over a long period of time. It may take upwards of 10 years. I guess Dr. Jocelyn has been hired by the group, the coalition, and Vic Leipzig, who serves on the Planning Commission, who's a biology expert himself, is participating. Dr. Green, of course. So I'm confident that the restoration is going to happen, Bill.
I see some oil operations in the area, and then of course along Pacific Coast Highway leading to it is one of the major oil fields in the state. What's happening in the effort to get these cleaned up and at least brought to a non-polluting state?
Well, as we talked about earlier, the Shell refinery up there along Coast Highway, going from just this side of Bolsa Chica to Golden West, was named by the Air Quality Management District as one of the top 10 air pollution emitters in Southern California. They have agreed to come and sit down with the council, and we're going to have a study session soon to talk about how we can get them and how they will participate. They've already told us they're willing to, in retrofitting that plant and trying to get a better handle on those emissions.
Well, that sounds like a good way to move. This compromise, going back to that for a moment, I think that not only applies to Bolsa Chica, but it's indicative of what's been happening with the City Council in recent years. as the community seems to be moving closer together as a whole. I know there's always be some objectors, but the whole atmosphere of the city seems to be changing. There's a new city administrator. The city council seems to be working together, even those people who may not always agree.
Yeah, I would say that we're entering a new era of professionalism. Mike Uberaga, our new city administrator, is certainly a prime example of that. I think there's a willingness on the part of the city, the council in particular, to cooperate with each other, even though we don't always agree on everything, and to cooperate with the community. Those members of the community who come in and sit down and work with us, work with the staff, and work with the council, find some very receptive public officials. And I think I'm very hopeful that we're going to have more compromises, more consensus building and decision by consensus rather than the sort of brickbat throwing and the forced decisions that have characterized things in the past.
Well, Mike pointed out, and I know he lives by it, that the reason for we in government for being there is the people, and it's not the other way around.
Sure, and I think sometimes we all forget that those of us who are on the council and in government, we all live here in Huntington Beach. We want it to be a better place too. Our kids are growing up here. Our grandkids are growing up here.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Someday our great-grandkids will be growing up here.
We care a lot about the community, and we want some of the same things that the people want.
You know, I see all these improvements. There is an area of the city that a few years ago really was terrible, and that was the Bluff Top area along Pacific Coast Highway, where there had been oil operations and old rusty pipes and all that. Let's go down and see what's been happening down in this area.
Well, it's a long walk, Bill, but I think it's a good place. We ought to take a look at it.
Well, I think we could both stand the walk. Let's go. Well, the Bolsa Chica certainly was beautiful, but this is another beautiful part of our city.
Our Bluff Top Park, Bill, is a very special place.
Wasn't always like this, though, was it?
No, we used to be, we were on the site of rusting oil pipes and just eroding cliffs, not more than 5-6 years ago.
Of course, all of Pacific Coast Highway used to look a lot different, too. There's a lot of construction going on, some good and some bad.
I totally agree. I think I've been real outspoken about the development along Coast Highway. We have some very excellent projects across the street here, the Kimball project, and we see another project here on 10th Street. But I think in general our downtown design guidelines, Bill, called for the north side of Coast Highway to mirror this Bluff Top Park.
With the palm trees,
with
the grass.
The setbacks with the lawn and the grass and the palm trees and the like. And we've gotten that in some locations, but I think in general we haven't done a very good job. And so recently the council and the planning commission has been letting the property owners and development groups know that we still want you to be able to develop your property, but we're going to insist on very tough design guidelines and the proper setbacks and landscaping.
Well, by now we've seen the pier, we've taken a look at our downtown. We enjoyed a few minutes at the magnificent Bolsa Chica. We're now among the palm trees and the grass. Huntington Beach seems to be handling its progress into the next century pretty well. What kinds of problems do we have yet that need to be resolved before we can say, hey, we got it licked and we're doing it?
Well, I think overall we have a fiscal problem, a problem of diminishing revenue in the city, and that's manifesting itself, Bill, in our capital improvements, our streets, our flood control channels, the infrastructure, to use an overused word, is not in the best shape it should be. And I think in this current time of budget crunches and shrinking governmental revenues, we need to do a better job of planning how we're going to complete all these capital improvements. We're going to have these brand new Mediterranean-style buildings and a couple nice new hotels and some restaurants sitting amidst streets full of potholes. And I think we need to do a better job of improving our streets and some of our
capital facilities.
Of course, it's true if you look at Huntington Beach over the last couple of decades, the bulk of the city has been built or rebuilt almost all at one time.
It's happened at a tremendous pace. So I think, you know, I'm a positive person, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think we need to spend a little more time planning, doing real advanced planning, and looking at the impact of the growth in the city. I think we need to institute our growth management plan that has come out of the Growth Management Committee, and institute some traffic impact fees.
I'm going to sit down here for a minute.
I'm
going to sit down here and enjoy this.
Happy to do that. Happy to do
beautiful,
that.
Beautiful setting. And it is gorgeous out here. We were talking about advanced planning. Seems like a lot of the city is pretty well built out. Is it too late for advanced planning, or are we talking about planning for the things that are going to happen when these buildings are not so new?
Well, certainly we're not built out. We hear that all the time, but Bolsa Chica is going to have additional housing. We just talked about that.
Saw that.
The Holly Seacliff planned community is going to be literally a small planned community smack in the middle of central Huntington Beach. I think that development is going to have off-site impacts. That traffic isn't just going to stay in the Holly Seacliff area. And I think we have to plan for the impact of all of those things, whether it's fire, police, library services, needs for recreation, traffic impact. We need to do a good job of determining what those impacts are going to be and setting up systems to, certainly the developer should contribute revenue. We have to have our staff tell us what the operations costs are going to be. Redevelopment is going to continue. I recently saw a survey that shows literally 70 to 75% of the public is strongly in favor of continuing with redevelopment. But that redevelopment has impacts, and you can't just put up new buildings, new houses, and think that everything else is going to remain the same in the city, because those new residents are going to demand the same continued high level of services. So we've got to get smarter, and we've got to work with our professional staff and ensure that we plan for those impacts.
And it is the amenities, the high level of service that brought us to Huntington Beach in the first place.
No question. I think when I go around the city and talk to people, sometimes I hear, you know, you guys are too hard on yourself. You're too hard on the staff. We've really done a pretty good job. I can't think of any place I'd rather live, Bill. Yeah. I don't know about you. We both live here and have for 15, 20, 30 years. I think this is the nicest spot on the coast.
Well, it's a beautiful community. There's no doubt about that. The one other topic that I wanted to touch on is in the economic area, Beach Boulevard, which needs a lot of work. Beach Boulevard needs a lot of work.
Some sections do.
Yeah, and yet some sections of Beach Boulevard we look to for continuing to produce a great deal of revenue for the city through sales tax to help us maintain the grass and the trees.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's an absolutely great point. I think you must have been in our planning retreat 2 weeks ago. One of the things the City Council is finding out is that we have not paid enough attention to our big revenue producers, particularly our car dealers and our automotive dealers. We've sort of been tough on them. The Planning Commission has recently talked about banning banners, and there's been fracas over electronic reader boards, and there's been talk of redevelopment. The bottom line on Beach Boulevard and certainly our key commercial core areas is that they're producing the revenue that assures that the rest of the taxpayers and residents of the city will have good streets and services without having more tax burden added to them. So we need to assure that we start working closer with our those in the Chamber of Commerce, the auto dealers, the lumber yards, the commercial retail centers, Huntington Center. We need to enhance their ability to produce sales revenue for the city, and I think the entire council, there's no split of viewpoint on that. All 7 of us feel that we need to concentrate on those revenue producing uses.
We need to sort of feed and polish this goose that's laying the golden egg.
You're a man of golden tongue yourself.
John, this has been an interesting tour of the city today, and we've looked at some of the good things happening, pointed out some of the problems. The future looks very, very bright indeed for Huntington Beach.
I think so, Bill.
We're glad you were able to join us today for this tour of Huntington Beach with Councilman John Erskine, and I'm Bill Reed, and we'll be seeing you again right here in beautiful Huntington Beach.